If you've been keeping up with our Espresso series of videos, you'll know that we talk about something called the coffee dose. And in this video, we're going to go and delve in a little bit deeper into why that's so important. For as long as I can remember, I've always seen the coffee dose as being the foundation or the bedrock of making an espresso. It's also one of the things that a lot of young baristas kind of get stuck on. They don't appreciate how important it is to get the dose correct and consistent. So there are three things I think about when I'm trying to establish my dose. First of all, there is a correct dose for a particular setup. I need to make sure I establish and understand the correct dose. Secondly, you need to be accurate, particularly when dialing in. Dose accuracy is so important. And thirdly, we need to be consistent with the dose. I'm going to take each of those three in turn and talk a little bit more in detail about them. Establishing the correct dose is really important. And on the table in front of me, I've got a series of baskets. They're all different sizes, and the baskets are the bits that fit into your portafilter and they hold the coffee. Now, the basket on this side holds 14 grams of coffee. We have everything in between, and we have 21 gram basket on this side. And it's actually the basket size that determines the correct dose that you should use. So I have 14, 16, I've got 18s, I've got 20s and 21 gram baskets on the bench in front of me. So if I'm going to change the dose size, I will only do it if I've got a corresponding basket to accept that dose. I won't, for example, try and shoehorn 18 grams of coffee into a 16 gram basket. Now there is a tolerance, and we usually suggest that you work a gram either side. So if I took this 18 gram basket, I could go down to 17 grams, I could go up to 19 grams, and I'd be okay in that range. But anything outside those parameters, and I'm going to start to see results that I don't want, either inconsistent results or things happening that I don't particularly want to happen. If you put too little coffee in your basket, it's not necessarily going to have a detrimental effect on the coffee, but you're going to get a very wet puck at the end. And it's going to take more time and effort to clean the basket before the next shot. However, if you overfill a basket, you are going to start to see inconsistent and potentially negative results. The one thing about filling a basket with coffee is the space that's left, the space between the top of the coffee bed and the shower screen of the group head, it's quite important. When that water first comes in, it needs to spread out. The pressure won't have built at the start until it kind of fills that head space, and the water will spread out and we'll get hopefully a nice even extraction. If we've reduced that headspace, we may not get a nice even spread of water. We may actually start to see dry patches appear in the coffee, and we may see inconsistencies of flow through the coffee bed. I've even known there to be a growth or an increase in channeling down the sides of the basket. You can tell when a barista has overfilled a basket because their shot times tend to jump all over the place. And I've met so many young baristas who are almost tearing their hair out because they're trying to follow this recipe they've picked up somewhere without understanding how it applies to their own circumstances. Now, in a domestic machine, you may not have the information etched on the side of baskets like I do here. I just have to look on the side, and this is a 15 gram basket. This one states 18 grams. Have a look at your machine, see if your baskets are marked, have a look in the instruction manual, Google your machine online, look at some chat sites to see what people are saying about the baskets for your machine, or just get in touch and we'll try and help you. But as a general guide, as a general rule, you'll find that most domestic machines are working in the 14 to 16 gram range, and some of the heavier doses we look at here, 18 to 20 grams, will generally reserve for commercial machines. Once you've established your dose, you then need to be accurate with your dose. And this is where scales come in. So one thing we've been using for years and years, probably for as long as I can remember, we always weigh our dose. Now, if we're making a coffee for ourselves, like you might be at home, then it just makes sense to weigh every single dose. Every single time we go to make an espresso, myself and the team will weigh the dose and we'll weigh accurately. If we're using an 18-gram basket, we will generally make sure the dose is always bang on 18 grams. Not 18.3, not 17.6, but accurately 18 grams. The final thing is to be consistent. Once you've established a dose, then you've got this consistent when you're making, or constant when you're making an espresso. And constants are really valuable. There are a lot of things happening when we make espresso. There are a lot of variables to take into account. So if we can be consistent with one thing, then it really helps. And my advice is, once you know the dose, stick with it, don't change it. Particularly if you're new to espresso, the best thing you can do is stick to the same dose and look to play with other variables, such as the amount of water you use to make the shot. If you've got any questions about dose or the dosing on your machine, please feel free to get in touch. But in the meantime, thanks for watching.